Yegar and Osiris return to the city of Mohim from their adventures in an area called the Gap. They and the other members of a group, which comes to be named the Julian Heroes, attend a feast given in their honor. The young Elandra is returned to her mother, Alaza Lazra, the ambassador of the Ascoman. For their bravery, Alaza gives the heroes a stone necklace, which symbolizes their friendship to the Ascoman people. They, along with their companions who discovered the ancient mountain fortress, are called to the capital of Thronehelm to speak about their find. While Goran, Hyaphis, Brother Goblet, and Julie leave for Thronehelm the next day, Yegar and Osiris spend a little more time in Mohim. Yegar is approached by a Skyhorn of Mohim and asked if he could take on a young acolyte on what is traditionally a several-month oath of service. As part of the mission of a future Skyhorn, clerics are bound to worthy members of the valley for a short period of time to gain experience and learn the ways of the world. The young Skyhorn in training is named Bilzadi, and she is eager to prove her worthiness. Yegar accepts the young adventurer as a companion in service. The next night, they find themselves at a tavern and meet with a rough-looking barbarian named Dorvili, who is fresh from the western wildlands. This is a region where clans rule absent a king. He is rowdy but funny and joins the three for many drinks. After a long night, Yegar wakes up the next morning in a crib with a baby playing with his empty tankard of ale. In the next room, Osiris wakes up next to a woman whose name he can't recall. As a result of not knowing her name, she angrily kicks him and Yegar out of her house. Outside, Bilzadi has been camping out, waiting for them to wake up. She informs them that the barbarian Dorvili was imprisoned the previous night by the city guard for fighting in the tavern. According to Bilzadi's story, the barbarian was fending off would-be pickpockets who had targeted a very drunk Osiris and Yegar. The heroes agree to pay for Dorvili's fine, which releases him from jail. Having nowhere to go, the barbarian offers his services to the party, who happily see the wisdom in having extra muscle to accompany them to Thronehelm. When arriving in Thronehelm a few days later, they look for the Hall of Manthor, where they were instructed to seek an audience with Frost Stonefist. They wait in line for 5 hours to get into the Hall of Manthor, where many others have gathered, with similar invitations to discuss various business in the name of the valley. When they get into the hall, Yegar and Osiris are ushered to speak to Frost, the son of the king, who thanks them for their duties to the crown and awards them a troll ring, a sign of bravery and high status in the valley. Bilzadi and Dorvili look on as honored guests to the quick ceremony. Frost informs Osiris and Yegar that he will be leading an army into the Ice Wastes to investigate the ancient fortress and questions them on what they saw. As they are leaving the hall, they are approached by a stranger who turns out to be a servant of Bernbold, a magistrate of the town of Beldale. Osiris and Yegar are requested in the Hall of the Ram. They arrive in the grand dining hall and are ushered to the table of an old one who is attended by several servants. He introduces himself as Bernbold and explains he is in search of heroes of the valley who may be able to aid him in his quest for a lost son who was taken up with the wrong sort. Bernbold tells the party a story of woe involving his lazy and irresponsible son Warren. Warren was last seen in a small hamlet known as Griddick, south of Beldale. The magistrate's intention upon arrival in the capital city, aside from doing business for his township, is to look for professional swordsmen who may be successful in finding his son. Yegar is moved by Bernbold's appeal, and he and Osiris vow to make best efforts to find Warren. For this, Bernbold promises not only a healthy reward in coin, but a good dose of renown in the valley. The next day they go to the lake docks and pay for passage on a ship led by a Captain Smore to take them south toward Beldale. At the end of the first day of travel, the anchor is dropped and a dispute ensues between the sailors. The party comes to hear a commotion from the lake and sees 2 smaller boats approaching with men who are shouting to their ship. They are demanding one called Luick be given over to them. The party comes to realize from the disagreement amongst the sailors aboard their ship that this Luick character is none other than their own Captain Smore. Some of his shipmates have been in cahoots with the approaching boatmen, and a fight ensues. It becomes evident in the shouting that S'more is an alias, Luik has a bounty on his head, and the ship they are on is stolen. The men on the approaching boats are near enough to begin to board. The party is caught in a brawl they didn't seek, unsure of who they are fighting or whether they should be fighting at all. In the chaos, Luik takes this opportunity to jump overboard with a few of his men. While the party is doing battle with the bounty hunters, Luik has commandeered one of the smaller boats and escapes in a westerly direction. The criminal waves to the party, offering apologies for the inconvenience of being caught up in the madness. The party, confused and unsure of what to do, realizes there is one sailor still with them on the ship. He calls himself Samson, and he laments having been abandoned by Luik, but explains he too was a victim of the con man. He promises to be in service to the party should they spare him. They force Samson to work the rigging and get them south to the city of Arnholm. Once docking in Arnholm, they abandon the stolen ship and take up lodging in an inn, readying themselves for the adventure to come.